Trying to decide between a Disney cruise or a Walt Disney World trip and you aren't sure where to start or what's the best fit? Well, today's episode is for you. Welcome back to Earstravagant Adventures. I'm your host and travel agent bestie Rachel, and joining me is Katie, everyone's
Hi.
favorite travel chaos coordinator. And we're talking about Disney magic for your tiniest travelers. We've all seen those adorable photos of toddlers and mouse ears and the sweet family moments on Disney cruises, but which is really the best fit for families with infants and toddlers? Joining us in just a minute is fellow Allonsy agent Savannah, and she's done both with three small children. She's taken toddlers and even most recently her baby, less than 6 months old, to the Disney parks and on a Disney cruise. She's here to share the good, the tricky, and the hilarious from each experience. But first, a word from our sponsor. Hello and welcome to Allonsy Travel Vacation Destination Center. Our talented team cannot wait to send you on a vacation of fantasy and excitement to places where magic is just around the corner. We are passionate about making your Disney, Universal, or cruise vacation a reality and are here for you every step of the way. Our vacation experts are standing by. Get in touch with us by visiting allonsy-travel.com, Facebook, or Instagram to start your journey today. Make sure to like and follow for the most up-to-date information. Where will you go next? Welcome to the pod, Savannah.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your family. We're talking about taking littles to Disney Cruise or Disney World today. So give us your quick little bio.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of experience with bringing little ones to parks and the Disney cruise. So I have three little girls, a 6, 4, and 7-month old, and we just came back from Disney World for the first time as a family of 5 in May. But prior to that, I had taken the other two to Disney and the Disney Cruise Line, along with a lot of other destinations. So I feel pretty experienced as far as bringing little ones, knowing what to expect, and knowing what you need to be prepared for vacationing with little ones, specifically to Disney destinations.
Awesome. Well, let's start with Disney Cruise. I feel like that's well, you will tell us, but I feel like that's the easier of the two. So,
Yes.
why don't you tell us a little bit about what surprised you most about cruising with little ones?
So, what surprised me most was this was our first Disney cruise together. I found that it was very easy. It was so family friendly, and my kids absolutely love the kids' clubs more than anything. So, I think that getting on the ship, the first thing that we did was register at the kids' clubs. We also were able to walk through the clubs because they have open houses on the embarkation day, which was really great. And it was the perfect way to get the kids acclimated with the clubs. And I'm telling you that my kids wanted to be in the clubs from morning till night. And most days they were. And I just was not expecting that. I think that me and my husband were pleasantly surprised the most about the kids' clubs. But not only that, they just enjoyed the food, the nonstop entertainment. I love that the Disney Cruise app gave us the daily plan so that we could always know special happenings every day, and we took advantage of those. We did a 7-night cruise, so it was packed. It
Yeah.
was yeah.
And that app is a lifesaver. Like I hate that everything has to have an app these days, but oh, it's so
Yeah. Especially if you don't have the Wi-Fi package, because your app is
good.
still going to be enabled and you can use that even if you don't have the
Mhm.
Wi-Fi package. But we did get that for some days of the cruise.
Yeah.
So, other than the kids club, what was your kids' like favorite kid-friendly, toddler-friendly space on the ship?
So they loved just the atrium. We did a very maritime cruise, so they had, and we also had 3 days at sea, which
Wow.
is a lot of time at sea. But
Yeah.
they just made it so entertaining. They had story time with Mrs. Claus. We were able to meet Santa Claus. Yeah, it was
I
really.
I did not know that. That is really, really cool. So, like, because in the atrium, was it like the games and like the cast member led stuff that they liked there?
So we did a lot of that too. My kids really just loved exploring. They did
Mm,
the midship detector, which
Mm.
took us a
that's
couple
fun.
of days, but they did love that. And that's where you get to go to the animated portraits throughout the ship and find the clues. That was a huge highlight for them. And then just they're huge on meeting the characters. So I feel like there were so many more characters just out and about on Disney Cruise Line versus in Disney World. And to them,
Yes.
that was just the most
Totally.
magical thing that we could walk out of our stateroom and go to the elevator and just see Captain Hook, walking by
Hmm.
and waving to them. That was really magical for them.
So I know I have clients that ask this a lot, nap times and bedtime, especially, because we get that first and second dining question constantly. So talk to us about, because your kids are prime for this, nap
Yes.
time and bedtime on the ship.
My oldest at the time was not taking naps. My middle still was. So when she was ready for her nap, I would just take her back to the stateroom. And there was one night where now she at the time was 2, so she wasn't in the kids club. She was actually in the nursery,
Hmm.
which you do have to pay a small fee per hour, but it was 100% worth it. She was in there 3 to 4 hours a day, I would say, and she actually
Nice.
did nap in there a couple times. They have a quiet room with cribs, so we did take advantage of that so that we could have dinner together while she took a nap, which was perfect. But as far as bedtime went, we did do the earlier dining
Okay.
and the entertainment. When you have the first dining seating, you'll have your entertainment afterwards. So if we were able to make it through that, usually they were, we would just take her right back up to the stateroom and we would go to bed at an earlier hour just so we could wake up early and take advantage of the day. But I will say our stateroom was quiet. Napping was not a problem at all. So if you're thinking that you don't know if your kid's going to sleep, I think that closing the blinds in a stateroom, it was dark, quiet, and it was a perfect experience for taking naps and going to bed early too.
Nice.
Well, and this cruise was prior to them bringing back where the cast member will escort your kids from the dining room back to kids club. So now that that is back,
Well, that's
you
amazing.
know, that's something you could do too. So you and, husband or whoever can continue and go, not miss the shows, but the kids
Yes.
still get to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Or not to bed. They go somewhere. They're not
Right.
going to bed.
Right.
Speaking about dinner, how was dining with the toddlers on the ship?
It
Like, did y'all mostly eat in the main dining? Did you do quick service?
We did our we did a mix of buffet and table service for lunch. We, of course, you have your rotational dining, so you get to stay with your servers, which really adds to the experience because they remember your favorite drink. They know if you like ketchup, and I must say that the ketchup being dished out in the shape of a Mickey head will forever be a highlight of their trip. And my girls are big eaters, so we can handle a 60 to 90-minute seating with them. Plus, of course, they make it so entertaining for the kids. So most of the time we do like to take advantage of table service and sit down and be served at the table. So for us, it was usually sit down. We did do cabanas a couple times, which is just endless options, options on options on options, which is great. But the dining overall was one of the highlights of the Disney cruise. The food really was phenomenal. And me and my husband are foodies, were picky, and the both of us were just very, very impressed with the food throughout the entire cruise.
Did y'all do one of the adult dinings or did you not?
We didn't do it this time. We really wanted to do Palo, but we wanted to do it on my birthday and there was no availability that day, so we just skipped it. But next time we are absolutely going to take advantage of the specialty dining.
Nice. So you mentioned the kids clubs in the nursery
Yes.
a little bit. So what do you think made your girls love it so much? I mean, we know, right? But what what was like was there something consistently they said, I love this? Because if they kept wanting to go back, obviously they're having a good time, but was there any
Right.
standouts or just like the whole thing?
Yes. So some of the standouts were that they did have different activities every day, which was huge for them, and they also had characters coming in.
Mm.
So for my 2-year-old, that's obviously very young. Sometimes we can't really rely on what she's telling us. So what was really special for us as parents is that they would go in there on some days with a little disposable camera and take pictures of
Aw.
her. I have special pictures of her with Mickey and
Oh,
Cinderella. And they would
that's so
basically
cute.
send us with a report of what she did that day. So that was in the nursery.
Mhm.
And then in the actual kids club in the Oceaneers, they did my daughter's favorite thing to this day that she still talks about was making goo with Lilo and Stitch. So they made like a really special
That's fun.
glue slime that
Oh,
she was
that's
able
fun.
to take with her. And yeah, and I love that I was able to see what time that activity was happening to make
Mhm.
sure she was in there for that. So
Hmm.
like I said, every day they were keeping all of the activities really fresh and fun and putting in different characters and really fun experiences for them so that it wasn't getting old day after day.
What a core memory.
That
Yes.
is so cute. Like
Yes.
I would love to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Space Goo with Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
You said y'all did a 7-night cruise with three
Did.
port day. I mean, three sea days.
Sea days.
What did y'all do on your port days? Did you do any excursions with the kids? How did that go?
Yes. So we had 3 ports of call. The first one was the British Virgin Islands. Second one was U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. And then the last one was Castaway Cay. And for the first one, so little disclaimer here. I had a passport. My family did not. My husband's had just expired and I didn't get them for the kids. So we just brought along their birth certificates. And I was just a little weary about doing excursions with them not having them. So for the first day, we didn't want to do anything. But then but we did get off of the ship and we walked around the port. They had some shops and different dining options and things like that. But we didn't do any excursions. We ended up doing an excursion on our second port of call. We went to Megan's Bay, and that was in St. Thomas. And
Yeah.
we ended up not booking through Disney, which was a huge mistake and lesson learned. I will always recommend that you book your excursions directly through the cruise line, no matter which cruise line it is. Um, I can be a testament to this, and that was a big time mistake. It was kind of like a last minute decision. We thought we might save some money. We did not. It was stressful. It was the wrong choice. I will say
Yeah,
that.
you posted a reel about it. So can you expand a little bit on that? Because like I always book with the cruise line because I don't want to be left behind. So like that's what I
Right.
always do. But I
Mhm.
think you said like there were things that weren't included that you had to pay extra for.
Right. So when you get off the ship out of the gangway and step into the port, you're going to have people coming up to you, of course, trying to convince you to hop in their taxi. We'll take you
Hmm.
here for the
Yep.
day. And that's basically what happened to us. I think that since we didn't do an excursion the day before, we were having a little bit of FOMO. So I'm like, let's just do it. So
Hmm.
we have a guy come up to us, tell us that we're going to go to Megan's Bay. It's going to be a private cab ride, very short. We'll take you to the beach and we'll have somebody there to take you back when you're ready. Well, said cab ride was not private, which wasn't a huge deal, but he did say that. So he basically got one guy got us to say yes, and then he kind of took us over to a queue and had us waiting and waiting where more and more people were
Yeah.
piling in. And I'm
Mm.
like getting this feeling like, okay, maybe this was a mistake. So we ended up taking a very sketchy ride through the mountains to the beach. The beach was beautiful. He did not mention that we would need to pay a beach entry fee along with beach passes for everyone individually. And by the time we had paid all of those fees plus the cab ride, this is all cash, mind you. It was more money than to just book the excursion through Disney Cruise Line. And
Mm.
then when we were ready to leave, we wanted to give ourselves plenty of time because, of course, we were not trying to be a second late to the ship.
Right.
There was there wasn't that many cab drivers to be found. There was a lot of people on the beach that needed rides back, and we were having a hard time finding a ride.
Stress,
I'm
anxiety.
stressed.
Absolutely.
I'm stressed
It
right
was,
now.
yes. As soon as we got back, we said we will never do that again. And that was a lesson learned to book
I,
your excursions through the cruise line.
I do for myself and for clients that I feel are very responsible. I will book excursions that are not cruise line, but those are from like we set them up in advance, very vetted vendors.
Right.
Yeah, the getting the taxi at the port, no could do.
My murder
I could
radar
never.
is too high. I could never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Or
were
with my
strict,
husband.
to say
Could
the
you
least.
imagine my husband?
No, literally never.
Never.
Well, what did you do at Castaway Key? At Castaway Key, I feel like you guys just got off and had a good time.
Yeah, we did. We were one of the first ones off the ship because we wanted to get a nice seat on the beach. Of course, they have the kids club available for 3 and up, which was amazing. So we did have our 2-year-old with us the whole time. We didn't want to leave her back on the ship, even though you could have.
Mhm.
So we just got a great spot on the beach. We explored. We went to some of the shops. And we just did a beach day and had a great lunch at Cookies, and the day just flew by. It was perfect weather.
So nice.
Yeah. It was the highlight. It was really the perfect way to end the cruise.
So, what do you
I,
think, aside from the shore excursion, what do you think was the biggest challenge taking little ones on a cruise?
I think the biggest challenge is just always going to be packing accordingly, having everything that you need, and making sure you're prepared and have the right expectations. But I'm telling you that once we got onto the cruise, there really wasn't a whole lot of hassle for us as parents because the entertainment was endless. If they were overstimulated, we knew where to find a quiet spot. There's so many different areas on the ship where if they need a break, you can go find a quiet spot to take a break. If they just want to go watch a movie, you can go watch a movie, which was absolutely amazing. So there were times where we as a family were splitting up because, the little one needed something and our older one wanted to be up on the pool deck in all the action. But I'm telling you that compared to a Disney World vacation, a Disney cruise is so much less stress and you really can just relax and it's laid back and you can kind of base your daily itinerary on exactly how you're feeling in the moment. Aside from, of course, if you have an excursion booked, but we had so much time at sea that we just let the kids lead the way.
Nice.
that sounds lovely.
It really
I'm
was.
obsessed with Disney Cruise. Like I just every time we talk about it, I'm like, I need to be on a Disney cruise right now.
Yes, absolutely. A cruise can fix all your problems.
What's your number one tip for parents cruising with little ones?
It was our first cruise, and my husband was very nervous and had a lot of anxiety going into it because the fear of the actual ship itself was something that really was weighing on him. So, just letting your kids know about the safety of the ship. When I tell you that my husband did not have them within 2 feet of any of the rails, he really didn't. Just letting the kids know that we are on a moving vessel, of course. I think safety is the number one thing that you need to disclose to your kids, not to scare them, but to just make them completely informed and aware of what we are on. So that's number one. And then number two is to just be in the moment with the kids, let them, if you have something that you think you need to do one day, but it's not working out, you don't have to do it. Just try and enjoy being in the moment and being present with your kids and making memories that will truly last a lifetime.
Speaking of
Mhm.
Walt Disney World vacations, you've done several Walt Disney World
Yes.
vacations with the
Yes.
girls, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Um, let's see. Of all the trips you have done, what has been y'all's favorite park experience for little ones?
We love Epcot so much, and I think that this is one of the parks that can get overlooked very easily, especially by parents because it has this rep of being an adult park where you drink around the world. And I am here to tell you that that is so not the case. We
I'm
love
so
Epcot.
surprised you're saying Epcot. Of all the things I thought you were going to say, that's like
I'm not. I
I
knew
But
she was
I
going to
love
say it.
Charles
all
I
four.
expected from, but not you.
Yes, I love all four. But if I had to put one park at the top of my list with kids, it's
Okay.
actually Epcot.
Okay.
Hmm.
Other than it being a
Playgrounds.
quiet park, like I think one of your reasons is princesses, right?
Yes. So one of the first things, now we also love Beach Club, which conveniently you're going to just walk through the backyard of Beach Club into the back entrance,
Right
which
there.
will take you into the World Showcase. And our favorite thing to do in Epcot first thing is to walk around the World Showcase
Mhm.
and meet princesses in the mornings. It's really incredible because it's usually very quiet and
Mhm.
you can meet so many princesses. My girls love to get their autograph book signed. You can take videos, pictures, of course. So that's how we like to start off a slow morning at Epcot, strolling through the World Showcase, meeting some of our favorite princesses.
Mhm. So, yeah, you kind of gave one of your, I mean, this is a great hack, staying at Beach Club. So, how do you handle naps, strollers, and downtime? I know you try to avoid going during the summer months, but other than,
Right.
Beach Club is a huge hack for that, but how else do you handle all of that?
So, like I said, you need to go in with the right expectations and you have to be okay with pivoting. You can have the most
Yes.
beautiful plans and itineraries for every day, but if your kids are not in it, then you can just throw them right out the window. So,
Hmm.
number one, be okay with pivoting. And nap time, I'm very fortunate because my kids will nap in the stroller. I know that not all kids will, but regardless of if they can nap in the stroller or not, I always recommend going back to the resort around 2 p.m. just to regroup, get changed. There's so much stimulation in the parks that I think that when you just step out of that for an hour or two, even if you just go into the room, get changed, and sit there on the bed for 20 minutes, you need it.
Mhm.
So that's something that we always do with the kids is just I know around that time that if we don't take the break, we will never make it. If we want to see fireworks at night, we have to. We need to exit, come back in. If they're not, if they want to take more of a nap in the beds, then we can do that too. But I always recommend around 2 p.m. getting out of the parks and just regrouping.
And you rent a stroller, right? You don't use the Disney ones?
So I have done both. I love the double strollers. I will rent them. They are a double side by side. This
Mhm.
past trip, I brought my own, which is a tandem stroller, which just basically means the seats are one in front of another, which huge perk to bringing a tandem double stroller is that you can roll it onto the Skyliner. Whereas if you do have the
Nice.
double that you're renting, you're going to have to break that down. The reason that I wanted to bring my own was just because the baby was so small this past trip that I wanted her to be facing me.
Mm.
The rental strollers are going to be side by side facing out.
Hmm. And the Disney strollers are just awful.
The
I
Disney
mean, we can say
strollers,
it.
that's like a last resort. I didn't think my kid needed a
It's
stroller.
hot,
Yeah.
sticky plastic. I watched a TikTok the other day of a cast member talking about what gets washed out of those at the end of the night. No, thank
I
you.
can only
Don't say.
imagine. I don't even want to know.
I already know your answer for this next question, but we got to talk about it anyway. Baby care centers, helpful or not helpful?
They are so helpful. They're great. I wish that I had more actual footage and content, but whenever I'm in there, I'm usually left with one arm and someone's
Yeah.
screaming or there's like a
Hmm.
diaper exploding on me. But they're absolutely amazing. The baby care centers have saved me from having to go back to my room at times.
Hmm.
It's the perfect place to change a diaper in a sanitary condition, or if you are nursing or pumping, they have private rooms. Also, if you forget something, this has happened to me. We forgot the bottle somehow. This was one of our first trips. My daughter would not take a nap unless she had a bottle. So I bought a bottle from the baby care center and she took a nap in her stroller. Didn't have to leave the parks. They're amazing.
Nice.
You can find them easily on your map. Every park has one.
We'll use
Really cool.
those
Even
resources.
if the kids are just overstimulated, it's air conditioned, there's seating. They always have a cute movie on. definitely check out the baby care centers.
Now, I know we all get this question all the time. Disney World has height requirements for some rides. I wouldn't say majority of rides, but some rides. So, and I think your girls are on the petite side as well. So, how are you handling rides that you guys may want to ride, but they're not tall enough to ride?
So we are huge Rider Switch fans. Rider Switch is a free service that Disney provides you where you can have a part of the party go in, ride the attraction, and then whoever missed out the first time around can go back in and skip the line and ride the attraction. So we use this all the time. Now, my oldest on this past trip, she was just at 48 inches. So she was able to ride everything. She did Cosmic Rewind, she did Tron,
Oh,
all the
yay.
big things. But my poor little short middle child was not hitting the 40-inch mark. So she missed out on Tiana's Bayou,
Aw.
which was a shame. But you have rider switch, and the beauty of missing out on something on one experience is that the next time you go, you can relive it for the first time all over again. So we do use rider switch
Nice.
very often.
Do you also have like a height chart at home so they can kind of see what they're close to?
Yes. So we were measuring almost daily coming up to this last trip in May because my middle one really wanted to do Tiana's, and she was just right there. Like, I mean, with
Oh,
her ponytail up, she was clearing it, but of course you need to
the
head.
head.
Yeah. So we love our height chart. Height charts are a really great way just to get your kids excited too.
Yes.
I think it's a really magical way to prepare for your trip and also to prepare them if they're not going to be able to do something.
Oh,
The
yeah, set those
expectation setting.
expectations. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
so important, especially
Mhm.
with kid trips. Let's see. Dining in the parks with toddlers and babies. Completely different experience than cruise, huh?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So we were very, very fortunate this past trip because they let me bring my stroller into restaurants a few times, and I was not
Nice.
expecting that at
Yeah.
all. I was actually prepared to have to wake up sleeping baby, but
Hmm.
there was a few times in La Hacienda de San Angel that they let us bring our stroller in there, and they even let us bring the stroller into Cinderella's Royal Table.
Oh,
So
wow.
that really changed the experience for me, and I know that that
Yeah.
doesn't happen often, but I think with her being only 3 months old and sleeping,
Mm.
they had some sympathy. I don't know if it was just the time of day, but
Mhm.
if you are planning on going to a sit-down restaurant with children and a stroller, you need to be prepared to take them out.
Now,
Mhm.
did you strategically have these dining reservations? Because I know some clients are like, my kids don't eat, so I don't need a dining reservation. But like, I feel like we are all on the page of disagree. You do need like dedicated time to sit down and eat.
Yes.
How do you feel about that with kids?
I feel that we absolutely need it as parents more than anything. I need to sit down and have somebody bring me food once a day at least. Absolutely. I like to make my reservations kind of at an off time, I feel like maybe at 4, like an earlier dinner,
I do
4:30.
that.
I feel like that time just works best for us. It's a nice way to just take a break and then we can crush a few more attractions after dinner. But for us, it's an absolute must. And I do buffets, but if I can prioritize a sit down restaurant, that's what I'm going to do for me. And
Yes.
my kids will sit down and have their chicken fingers and french fries every day, and they can color. We'll bring a book, a little bit of entertainment in the stroller. I always have something, and I recommend sit down restaurants. And I also love using the dining plan as well.
And you're
Hmm.
never worried that your kids are going to find something to eat, right?
No, never. I mean, french fries, chicken fingers, peanut butter and jelly, hot dog, these are the staples of my kids' life, and we had no issue finding them anywhere.
On the topic of that, I think expectations with your children about dining reservations is the way to go. I have clients tell me all the time, I don't think my kids would sit for 60 to 90 minutes, for a dining reservation. I don't really give my kids a choice. Like we don't tend to do one personally every single day, but they need that break and they need to sit, and so I set it up like, hey, this morning we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to ride these rides, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to go eat with Mickey Mouse, you
Exactly.
know.
And one point that I do want to mention is that maybe at home, sitting down at a restaurant isn't going to work out. But when you're in the parks and you're hot, you haven't been able to sit down and eat something, it might be the break that they actually need. And you'll be surprised to find that your kids can actually sit down and cooperate for a meal because they need that. There is so much going on your park days that sitting down for a sit down meal is actually a break for everybody, and your kids need that just as much as you do.
Now, would
Yep.
you prioritize meals that had characters or just kind of that didn't factor in?
We do both. I think that a mix of both is good because I also don't want them to think that there's going to be meals popping out at every single time that we're sitting down. So I like to do both. But my kids love the character meals, of course. Most children do. We also did quite a few sit downs that didn't have characters, and they still were very cooperative and were able to sit down for 60 to 90 minutes.
Nice. What do you think the biggest challenge, and you can have more than one, what's your biggest challenge for a Walt Disney World park vacation?
The biggest challenge is going to be knowing what you should be doing, what you should be prioritizing. If you've never worked with Lightning Lane Multipass, being familiar with that as much as possible going into it. I always recommend making the investment to buy Lightning Lane Multipass because some
Mhm.
people think, okay, well, I don't really want to spend the money there. But once you're in the parks and you see those wait times and you realize that buying Lightning Lane Multipass is actually buying you time, I think
Yes.
that's one of the biggest things. It can be challenging if you are not so tech savvy or you think it's too overwhelming and you're like, I just want to go into the parks and ride the rides. I wish that was the case, but you need to have a plan. You can't just waltz into Magic Kingdom and think we're going to go ride every single no height requirement attraction as a family and it's going to be a great day
And that's what
because
we're here for.
exactly.
Yes.
Because you don't have to stress about learning and everything. Like, we've got
Right.
you. We handle all that. We will teach you what you need to know. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to take our guidance.
You don't have to
Yes,
be an expert, you have to work with an expert.
that's
That's
right.
right. With that being said, what is your number one tip for parents that want to do the Walt Disney World parks with very small children?
Number one tip is going to be having that stroller packed to the brim with what you're going to need. Everybody in the
Yes.
family needs to have a water tumbler, something that you can refill in the parks. It's going to stay cold. Everybody needs to have a water. You need to bring a change of clothes. You need to have sunscreen. You need to have snacks. Your stroller, I always say it's our little hub. I would love to have a stroller even if I didn't have kids because I'm telling you that thing is full of all of the needs that you could possibly imagine.
I was very sad when my kids outgrew the stroller. My husband was not because he was the stroller pusher, the stroller putter on the
Mhm.
busser, like all of that. And that's why he would only stay at Skyliner, right? That was the
Right.
reason we were strictly Skyliner. But yeah, I was also sad because it was like
Yeah.
a shopping cart.
Also, on the topic of strollers, you need to know about stroller parking and the reality that your stroller might not be where you left it before you get onto an attraction. I think this can be like a little bit of a shocker for people who don't know that the cast members might, not always, but they may take your stroller and move it into a more appropriate position. So don't go up in arms thinking somebody's stolen the stroller. I usually recommend to tie like a bandana around so that you can see it, especially if you are using the rental, because you'll just see a parking lot of 100 strollers that all look the same.
They all came from the same company.
Yep.
Well, let's talk side by side. Disney Cruise compared to Walt Disney World. I think the first question is going to be a shock to some people, but cost versus value. What would you say? Like I feel like they at this point kind of cost the same. Granted, there's a lot of factors that go into both, right? Walt Disney World depends on the length of stay, what resort you're staying
Mhm.
at, what park tickets you get. Same for Disney Cruise Line, what port you're going out of, what ship you're on, how long the itinerary is. So let's just say like it's a similar length of stay. We all kind of agree that it's around the same price, right? For a Disney World and Disney Cruise.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be on the same playing field with budget.
But do we I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a higher value with the Disney cruise. How do you feel about that?
So, in my experience, how I feel about the Disney cruise is that you are getting so much value, and it is no question about the experience that you're going to have because you're going to step onto the ship. It's going to feel like an all inclusive vacation. You're
Hmm.
going to get Broadway style entertainment. Your kids are going to be able to meet characters at any given, not at any given time, I shouldn't say that, but absolutely
Mhm.
meet characters all throughout the day with very minimal wait times. There's going to be so much entertainment for them to do. They are never going to be bored. And then, of course, you have the whole entire other aspect of the fact that you get to get off on a beautiful island. And if you want to go out and enjoy incredible excursions that are once in a lifetime memories for you and your family. Now, should I jump right into a Walt Disney World experience or should we? Okay, so like I said, a Disney cruise is almost like a guaranteed amazing vacation where a Walt Disney World vacation is almost like a build your own experience. And if you don't go in with the right expectations and you're not prepared, then your outcome is really in your own hands. And that's kind of how I like to put it is a Disney cruise is a simple step on the ship. You're going to have an incredible experience. Disney World, you're going to need to put in a little bit of legwork to ensure that you have an incredible
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
You
Totally
can't just
agree.
you can't just walk into the parks and think I'm here. Someone show me a great time.
Well,
You
and
have
and
to.
we kind of talked about this on the podcast last week. Like, yes, we do an incredible amount of stuff for our clients. We do more than a lot of agents do for our clients. But with the Walt Disney World, there is a little bit of input. You do need to read that stuff I sent you. It's important.
Exactly.
Like, you do need to look at this stuff and decide what out of all of this is your most important. Whereas a Disney cruise, you're right, you just have to step on. Like, if you don't read anything I send you with a Disney cruise, you're still going to have a great time.
Absolutely.
Well, and I always say Disney Cruise Line is the best hospitality of the Disney company. Like
Mhm.
Savannah said, the servers get to know you and your family and what's important to you. Same your stateroom hosts. Like
Yeah.
it's the best service you're gonna find at Disney. So even if you're in an interior stateroom and you don't do anything extra, like it's still you're gonna be treated like royalty. It's
Oh, yes.
wonderful.
Our stateroom host waited until he actually met us to see who was in our family. And then that night, he brought them their very special Minnie Mouse pillowcases. He treated them so special. I missed that man so much. He kept our stateroom spotless. It was incredible. It was like magic. Every single day, I would leave to go get coffee. I'd come back, and I was just wowed by the experience in the stateroom alone.
This one's self-explanatory too. Pace and energy level between the two
Yeah.
destinations.
Quite different.
Yeah, very, very
Um,
different.
so for a Walt Disney World vacation, I suggest you start getting 10,000 steps in before your trip for 90 days in advance because you are
Hmm.
going to be walking more miles than at any other time in your life, more than
Mhm.
likely. And it's going to take a toll on your body. The pace is completely different. It's not even on the same playing field, in my opinion.
Totally agree. And we send out our clients a prepping for theme parks guide because it's on a cruise, you could walk maybe 1,000 steps a day because the ships
Yeah.
aren't huge. You just take the elevator. Like you can be a sloth and it's totally fine and acceptable. You can't do that at a
Mhm.
Walt Disney World trip. But I think the next question follow up. Entertainment variety for toddlers. I feel like there's I don't know, a little bit more on Disney Cruise. Like the characters alone, like we've said a couple times, there are scheduled characters on the app, but they also roam around. They pop up in the kids club. So like that
Mhm.
alone is really great. So how do you feel like the entertainment or things to keep kids occupied, Disney World, Disney Cruise compare?
So I think that they both offer a lot. I think that on Disney Cruise Line, it's more in your face. You don't have to do as much research to figure out when and where it's happening. Where in Disney
Mhm.
World, there's so many things that you could do, but you need to know when, you need to know where, you need to know what, because it's so overwhelming if you don't know ahead of time. You do need to
Mhm.
plan a little bit and know if my kids love Vampirina, Fancy Nancy, and everybody from Disney Junior, that they're going to have a dance party at this time at this place in Hollywood Studios. So, what I always tell my clients, I try to get to know them. What do your kids like? What are their interests?
Yes.
Because there's always going to be something for them in Disney World. I just need to know what they're into so that I can point you in the right
Mhm.
direction.
Weather impact between the two destinations.
I feel like weather is such an unpredictable scenario. I've been fortunate to never be in Disney World in like torrential rain yet. I know that it's going to happen, and I always have my ponchos, but I haven't had to
See
use them
me,
yet.
see me sad-eyed and Rachel right now.
I mean, I was there during a hurricane, so
Just to confirm, you'd
Yeah,
like to
I just
FaceTime Rachel?
I feel like you just need to again be prepared. If you always need to have rain ponchos. Always have a second pair of shoes just in case you do get caught in the downpours and then your shoes are in recovery for 48 hours. And as far as inclement weather on a cruise, you're always going to have entertainment available to you on the cruise. I can't speak to having my itinerary rearranged. I have had a client who unfortunately had to skip their Castaway Key day due to inclement weather. But like I said, as long as you go in with the right mindset, knowing that anything is possible, of course, on a Disney cruise, safety is going to be the number one priority.
hmm.
So there are times where you have to skip a port, which is so sad, but it does happen, unfortunately.
The Treasure was rerouted this week, because it was rerouted from an Eastern Caribbean to a Western Caribbean because they're not, and I think this is a big misconception. They more than likely are not going to cancel your cruise because of a hurricane,
Right.
whereas the parks will close for a hurricane, 100%.
Mhm.
You know, if it's a direct on to Orlando,
Well,
well,
let's
not
not
100,
look. That
depends.
feels a little fear-mongering. So the only time a park is going to close, and it's only happened 3 times, is if it's like a category 4 or 5 that's going to hit over Orlando. However, the likelihood of you getting heavy rain in Orlando, super high chance of that. Super,
Mhm.
super,
Very.
super high chance of, like Savannah said, she's never had rain, but she always carries a poncho. We always tell our clients to bring a poncho for their Orlando Walt Disney World vacations. Period. You're gonna have rain. On a cruise, safety is your top priority. I've never had rain on a cruise I've been on, and I've been on 7, 8. I've never had rain.
I've had showers, but never like, you know,
Yeah,
like that
because
Walt Disney Day where it pours on you all
right.
day long and you're just a soggy mess getting on Slinky Dog if it's
Right.
open,
So
you know.
safety is
Yeah.
a priority. They're not going to route you
Hmm.
into a hurricane. They're not going to route you into heavy storms because that's not a good idea. So yes, hurricane season happened, and this is why we always recommend trip insurance because you never know what's going to happen weather-wise, and trip insurance is, in my opinion, mandatory for a cruise. But the
Absolutely.
amount of times that we have experienced or our clients have experienced a weather issue on a Disney cruise, I would say maybe 5% of the
Very small.
time.
Yeah.
Well, Disney World, it's like 80% of the time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people stress about hurricane season, which is valid, but
Hmm.
safety is number one priority. Safety
Absolutely.
begins with me. That's a Disney slogan.
Safety first.
It sounds like I already know the answer to this. We're just going to ask it for clarification. Which one is less stressful? How stressed do you feel at each destination?
So, hands down, the Disney Cruise Line is going to be less stressful. There's way less planning that needs to go into your Disney cruise. Of course, every vacation is going to require planning, but for a day to day basis, Disney cruise requires way less planning. It is so much more laid back. like we said, you really just have to get to the port, step onto your ship, and just start enjoying your cruise. It's a no-brainer, especially if you have kids who love Disney. They're going to love this experience. Now, one thing that I do want to mention while we're still on the topic of Disney Cruise Line is that if your little ones are in swimmy diapers, and this is huge, they are not allowed in any of the water splash
Hmm.
pads, pools. So that can be a huge factor if you are planning on bringing a little one onto the cruise. When we went, my 2-year-old had just became potty trained, so that wasn't an issue, but definitely something you need to be aware of before you step on board, because that could be a huge heartbreak if you have little ones in diapers, in swimmy diapers.
I think you said it wrong. They cannot get in the pools, but there is a toddler splash pad for every ship that they can get in with swim diapers. It's just like the submerge yourself pools.
Well, we were on the Fantasy, so we had the Nemo splash pad area
Hmm.
with a slide, and that one did have the sign that no swimmy diapers were allowed in there either.
Really? Hmm.
It could have
Okay.
been an exception to just my cruise, but there was a sign. I don't know if it was
Okay.
there. It posted the entire length of the cruise, but there was a sign out there that if you were in swimmy diapers, you were not allowed in that area.
Really important to know.
Absolutely not in the pools.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely not. With all of this being said, if you had a toddler family come to you today and say, Savannah, we want to do something Disney, what do you recommend? What are you recommending for these? They've never done anything Disney related before.
So I think I have to go and just say start with the Disney cruise, especially if you have a young family, because you're going to have so much entertainment. Your kids are going to be completely impact have plenty to do, and Disney World is just going to require a lot more energy and planning. Either one, I mean, I think that if they were open to either one, I would just say to start with a Disney cruise.
Yeah, I think
Me too.
it also depends on your family. Maybe
Right.
you want like we've talked about the stress level. Maybe you want a low stress vacation and you don't want to have to give input on dining reservations and lightning lanes and all that.
Hmm.
You want a Disney vacation, but you don't want to participate in the legwork involved. Disney Cruise is
Right.
perfect. Maybe
Yep.
your family is a super active family and sitting on a boat sounds like your worst nightmare. Then don't do a Disney cruise.
Yep.
Disney
Right.
World is probably a better fit for you. And this is why we always say work with a professional, because that's the conversation that we're going to have with you. If you are
Hmm.
not sure which one is the best fit, um,
Absolutely.
we will talk through all of the things. Safety is a huge thing that we are getting lately for Disney Cruise, but we talk through all the options with you and walk you through every step of the way. So that way, you know, you picked the best vacation for your family. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And
Shameless
definitely
blog plug. We
that
also have a blog on
initial.
this topic.
Okay. Yes, I did read that. And the initial get to know you call really is the deciding factor in which one's going to work for you. If you hate the ocean
Mhm.
and being on the high seas terrifies you, then let's not do the Disney cruise. It's definitely
Yeah.
just a little bit of history and interest will give you the guide that you need to decide which one's right for you.
Exactly. So when you're ready to book or even explore your next Disney vacation, all three of us are available to book all these destinations. All of our information is going to be in the show notes. So you can reach out to any of us for any of your trip related questions. We would love to help you. And until next time, I'm sure we'll have Savannah back. So until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.